Hello and welcome back to the Schooner Pod. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, we've got the full crew, got the band back together, got James Maxwell, got Ty Lee, and boys, did y'all have a good summer? What have y'all been up to?
Bobby has put on a Thunder Champion shirt, and he's got the locker room tee on right now. You know, life is good. We're kind of bebopping a little bit in some Thunder content, but, you know, college football 26 is out, which means it's college football time, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Ty, how are you feeling? Are you getting back in the CFB spirit?
Good. Yeah, I've been in the college football spirit all summer. Had a little pet project earlier in the summer. I did a lot of research on where most of the money comes for OU's donors, and that is through oil. So through the help of some friends in the Middle East, I went over there to cause some trouble and try to spike the price of oil. But unfortunately, that was short-lived, only for like 2 weeks, and we didn't really make a big impact on the oil price. So unfortunately, we could not get Brent Venables' $50 million buyout that we gave him for some reason. But other than that, it's been a good summer.
Bobby, I forgot not to laugh at these jokes, and I just did.
It's fine. It's funny. It's funny.
Blake will appreciate that one.
Well, you gave it the old college try, and I think I gotta appreciate that. I don't know, man. I love it. Ty coming out, you know, guns a-blazing from the jump. You genuinely makes. I've missed this, and it brings a smile to my face. But yeah, no, obviously, just this season, it feels like one of the most consequential ones that we've ever really had, you know, for an OU season. I don't think we've ever entered one where we're like, hey, the coach has to get this or else he's fired. Like, as OU fans, we've really only existed in the Bob Stoops era, the Lincoln Riley era, and now this, which is a totally different tenor. None of us were really awake or aware of John Blake back in the days. So very big, very high stakes. Ty, I saw that finger. I saw that finger go up. What you got?
Bit of foreshadowing, perhaps, maybe editorial note for the season, but maybe I would have foreshadowed and said our whole lives we were in the Joe Constiglione era, but I see where you're going.
That is actually very true. We have been in the Joe C era until yeah. That's what we call leaving a little breadcrumb, you know, for us down the road. But anyway, so we're here ahead of this.
Okay, I'm just going to stop you right now. Lord King Big Nuts in the chat with a super chat. Hell yeah, Lord King Big Nuts. What's going on, my man?
Oh my goodness.
Lord King Big Nuts.
I honestly didn't even realize we could super chat. Thank you.
Yeah, we unlocked the super chat. You don't remember whenever that was a big deal not too long ago?
I do remember
hit the super chat quota. Man, it's back, baby. Oh man, get ready. We got some stuff lined up. We're gonna have a good season, boys.
I know, yeah. Jameson was probably he was preparing a goodbye announcement, I'm sure. And then he saw that $20 come across our screen. He's like, fellas, I'm back.
Don't get me started about Schooner Pod in my future. We're not talking about that.
No, we don't need it. We don't need to talk about that. But it's so good to see you, Lord King Big Nuts. Austin, by the way, updating us on his college football run. The year is 2027. Vandy's going for their back-to-back national championships, and Lane Kiffin's the head coach. Ty, you can only dream about such a
thing. Austin, you know what the most unrealistic part of that is? I don't think that Lane Kiffin would ever work with Urban Meyer. So I don't know how Lane Kiffin is ever going to be at OU in 2027. We've already got our guy lined up.
Oh, God. Just the alternate universe where everything goes wrong this year and we decide to go like total bad boys. Be like, screw it. We're just only hiring villains. We've tried the like, let's be nice and do soul mission. We're gonna do like the sell your soul mission and just get real evil on this, but I don't know. Anyway, so big season ahead, and I wanted to kind of sort of bring us back up to speed with talking about some of the big points, the ones that, you know, I think a lot of people probably have been chewing on throughout the past couple months that we pretty much kind of have it because we've been doing other things, you know, like watching basketball and, you know, having kids and all of that sort of stuff.
You said plural.
Just single kid. Anyways, so we're kind of diving into the main big questions of this season. The things that are going to define this season, I think, if you're, as a Sooner fan, and we're going to start out with the big one. And I think the entire season hinges on this. Jameson we're kind of going to go to a bit of the old, I don't know, buy or sell from pardon the interruption, or, I don't know, see.
I preferred your other reference that you sent in our group message, or see or no from the Dan Le Batard show.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So, so we'll sort of go in that order, kind of knock some of this stuff out before we get into proper, season preview mode. So let's start with the big question. I think the entire season hinges on this. Will John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle be the real deal? Total reset on offense. Obviously more to that than just those two. Jaydn Ott coming into the equation as well, but it hinges, I think, on those two without a doubt. So Jameson, you call your shot here. Will they be the real deal? Are they going to be good enough?
Oh, see. Yes, they're going to be the real deal. I mean, just like in terms of what we saw from Mateer, the eye test fits. I don't care if he was at Washington State. What he can do as a player translate across the board. He's, what you want in a college football quarterback. High IQ, high athletic, great arm with a young talent that he's familiar with his system. That's a type of guy that gets better every single year. And he was young last year, and he keeps the same continuity of his offensive coordinator. And this is a scheme that the SEC hasn't seen yet. In terms of what John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle can do, I buy all into it, Bobby. What concerns me the most is I want to make sure that the supporting cast around him in terms of the receiver room can be there for him too. And last season, we were extremely confident, right? We were so confident in our wide receiver room, and that fell apart really quick. So right now, we're thin the wide receiver room, I would say still. So we got to have a couple people, whether that be a Satania or a Giovanni Gibson, gets healthy from his broken leg and comes back looking good. I know Brent Venables just said that he's progressing well right now. We need to have one guy pump up and be that guy from Mateer aside from Deion Burks.
Ty?
Yeah, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I don't want to say I love Pablo Escobar, but I love Narcos. So I'm going to do Plata o Plomo, which is shoot or give silver to in the inverse. I should have explained this better. It's Spanish. It's what they speak in Spain and other places. Lost my train of thought. I flew too high to the sun. I flew too high to the sun with the intro. Thought I was in mid-season form. Let me go ahead and do Plata. I think that is the affirmative or the positive. I'm gonna buy in to Mateer and Arbuckle. I think obviously we need Arbuckle to pan out longer term potentially, but I think even just the novelty and bringing in someone that at least just hangs on to the ball and makes good decisions. I'm not too concerned, and right, I don't want to disparage it either way, but I'm not too concerned about athleticism or ability to hit a deep ball or anything like that. If we just get a quarterback in for this next year that's high IQ and can translate well the playbook that he's been playing with for a while and doesn't turn it over a bunch, I think that translates to a significant performance upgrade for the offense just with those two things. Because right, how many games could have gone the other way if we had a quarterback that just didn't turn it over and had a much higher IQ on the field in under pressure? So I think those two things, super excited about. And then just a new offense, just reinvigorating that entire ball group and bringing that into the SEC, I think is going to be key.
Yeah, and I think there were so many times where there just wasn't complimentary football. And I know that's just such a buzzword that a lot of people use, but it's genuinely true in this case. The defense was fantastic, but the offense couldn't find its way out of a wet paper bag. A lot of the times that was because of the wide receiver situation, but also, sorry, just even thinking about Seth Luttrell made me sick there. But also, I mean, my thing is, it was just so bad. The offense was at a point early on where it was just absolutely putrid. They tried to do whatever they could to dig its way out, but it just at some point you just can't help yourself. And you just found yourself so many times during that season thinking, if we just had an ounce of good offense, we're going to be okay. Like, we can figure this out. And to me, I feel like bringing in one of the most respected offensive coordinators in college football, one of the most respected quarterbacks in college football, who, by the way, he's just shot through the ranks as one of the probably the hottest names in the sport. And I know, video game rankings don't matter and everything, but he's ranked ahead of, Arch Manning. So, I say what you will about that, but if we're talking about hype, you're very hard pressed to find a more like hot name in college football than John Mateer, who hasn't played a snap outside of the husk of the old Big Ten or Pac-12. So it's one of those things where I'm buying on this because I always buy on these things. I always believe. I always, go for it. And I know that's not a ringing endorsement because, hey, look, why are we going to trust the oaf who's believed OU will win the Natty every year since he was 5? But, I feel like this is a team that's going to be greatly improved by that. I think the scheme's better. I think the talent in there is better. I'm with you, Jameson. If you can get the wide receivers, keep them healthy. Would love a big Satania year. He's been excellent in that video game. I might add. I'm just saying, I could see this. I could see this offense cobbling together a situation that could really make a dark horse run in the SEC.
I have 3 quick points. One, in your defense, Bobby. I believe we won the national championship when you were 5. So at least you had that, and we were very, very good for the ensuing following years, if I have my years right. So in your defense,
first year, the first year I actually started thinking about football was 2001. So it was a really, really long 24 years between titles for me of any sort.
that's I'm not going to say Bobby's a bandwagon fan, but did not care about OU in the 90s. And then just 2001 decides he's an OU fan. So we can do with that what we will. But Bobby is riding the high of the Thunder championship. That was my point 2. My very quick point 3 is, for anyone disparaging the Washington State thing, personally, and this is very much a bit, but this is factual, what is more embarrassing, starting at Washington State or not being able to start over Quinn Ewers? I think not being able to start over Quinn Ewers is much more embarrassing. Now, is that Arch's fault? I don't think so, but that
Arch is just a goofball. You seen him at SEC Media Day,
and Quinn Ewers is not.
I don't see.
They're
I don't know if
goofballs.
I don't know if Arch looking like he's he's a pledge saving seats, out in the bleachers at Memorial Stadium. I don't know if that makes him more of an SEC quarterback or something not to be feared.
I argue Paul Feinbaum.
Yeah,
it was a little gross.
I don't know, get a little too cozy with Paul there, but Mateer also talked with him a little bit today. And the thing that's funny about Paul is I noticed on both of these, every time he gets surprised by an athlete, his voice gets really high pitched where he's like, "Oh, hey," and it's like, "Oh, what the hell, Paul? That freaked me out. I don't like that." Anyways, but yeah, we'll talk about Texas whenever we preview the SEC coming up here in a bit, but consensus, we're all optimistic on something with OU, which is great. The months have helped us, apparently, so that's good. Let's move to the other side of the ball. Jameson, how do you think the defense is going to handle the loss of Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman? Obviously, a deeper unit. Brent Venables' strongest suit, but kind of changing of the guard there on that end. Do you have any concerns at all?
I will say it sucks losing high-end talent, because that's how you put your defense to a good defense to a great defense whenever you have stars and leaders in your locker room. And, you losing Danny and losing Billy, it's going to suck straight up. And everyone's going to be like, oh, we have good replacements. Like, I believe in Kip and Kobe, right? I believe in them too. But they need to come out and show out as that dude in terms of being a leader. And I still think that they can, but we have to see that. I haven't been in that locker room in this offseason, so I need to see that. But we've got so much talent on this defense, and I think that we're looking whenever we're like, oh, we lost Danny, we lost Billy, who's going to go into those slots and how are they going to take over those roles? Really not what it is what I want to look as who is another guy on this defense that can go out and be a superstar defender. And like you look at R. Mason Thomas is that guy. Like that dude can be a superstar. Straight up. And an edge rusher in the game of football, if you have a guy who can destroy on the edge, and with Marvin Jones Jr. now on the other side, that adds even more of a pressure to the quarterback that could completely shift everything to be more important than that of a safety and a middle linebacker, which are, to be honest with you, I'm not going to talk crap about those two positions, but in terms of the defense, probably the least important positions on the field is safety and linebacker. So screw it. Best player on the defense being an edge rusher, I'll take that as a win.
Yeah, look, the defense has been the one shining light that we've had for the past couple of years. I understand 2 years ago, right, 10-win season. If you want to go back and watch those pods, you will see that there was some debate over how successful that season was. But here's the thing. The one thing that Brent Venables' team has been a very solid defense. But now, guys like Danny Stutzman, like Billy Bowman, Alex Grinch and Lincoln Riley recruits are now gone. So now we will see if Brent Venables truly is a defensive mastermind or if he's been riding on Alex Grinch's coattails. And Grinch was just that little meme with the guy that's mining the diamonds and turned around just a little bit too late. I think he was just right there. But yeah, I don't know. I am very optimistic that people will step up. That's all jokes aside. That is what our team is about. That is, some criticisms maybe about being too heavily focused on that and not the team as a whole. But I am very confident that our defense will have guys that step up. You don't know their names right now because we've had solid guys. You maybe heard them, especially if you're really tuned in, but you will really hear a lot of these names. There's no world where our defense isn't excellent. And I mean, you can just go look, right? This is Brent Venables' one shining thing. He does recruit and coach defenses so well, and he has his entire career. And the only times that you can point back to, oh, well, what about this year or something? You have these revolutions in the sport of football where you get insane talents, Heisman level talents that are bringing entirely new offenses. You got RG3 out there at Baylor, doing the crazy stuff. On the offense, and obviously some other stuff was happening on that Baylor team, but those are the only times where he's had minor hiccups, and then it's right back to just consistent. It's like those people that just invest in the general stock market and it always goes up. This could age really poorly, but there's going to be those dips. But if you look at the market, right, on a long enough timeline, it's just always improving, and that's a Brent Venables defense.
Yeah, no, and I feel like when Brent has these elite level athletes on that defensive line, especially the edge, that's when you can actually put this thing into high gear. And like Jameson said, R. Mason Thomas, Marvin Jones Jr., just a beast, on the interior. That's when a Brent defense goes from good to great. I think the linebacker talent's there, but I think this defensive line is going to supercharge this defense and put it to a totally different level. And I don't think some people are quite ready for that. But it'll be exciting to see. All right. So let's go through a different question entirely. Which losses, and this was actually kind of funny. My wife asked me this when I asked her what question she once answered. She said, which losses in 2024 are the most likely to flip? So in this case, of course, it would be LSU and Norman, Missouri and Norman. Sorry, there are a lot of these to count. Texas, Ole Miss and Norman,
Tennessee and Knoxville.
Tennessee and Knoxville, South Carolina and Columbia.
Oh,
so, yeah. Am I missing one? Did we lose to someone else?
Bowl game is all you're thinking of.
Yeah, we're not gonna Navy. Hopefully, if we play Navy again, hopefully we win this time.
Can I say
we will win the Armed Forces Bowl this year, Bobby?
Can I lead with the least likely?
Sure, go for it.
It's Navy because we're not going to be in a bowl game.
Oh, there's
Ah,
the angle.
there we go.
I needed
That's
like
what
a
we've been
half
missing.
second more pause there, really.
So
I'm just getting warmed up
Yeah.
for the season.
So let's go ahead and get the obvious out of the way. We're gonna be. I think OU's gonna beat Missouri this year.
We
I think
better
that feels more
smack them in the
comfortable.
freaking face. I swear to God, if we lose to Missouri this year, I'm gonna be so freaking mad.
Yeah, I mean that would be pretty. Something would have had to gone pretty wrong. Had to have gone pretty wrong. Missouri is obviously in a reload year, kind of resetting. It's in Norman, especially how that game ended last year. I bet the Sooners like that. That feels like a really good situation for OU to get their look back.
Does anyone here even know like the quarterback for Missouri?
No, I have no idea who their quarterback is.
I only know because I've been seeing it like him on the. We keep talking about the video game because obviously that's everything that's going on.
That's how
It's
we
like,
learn.
Yes, it's Penn State transfer Bo Prabula. You know him? No, I didn't either.
That's a Penn State name, though. That's not an SEC name.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of not Drew Aller.
Yeah. I don't mean to sound arrogant here, but this Missouri team does not scare me.
For the record, I agree. I'm just doing this thing this year where whenever everyone's like chalk on something, I'm going to look like I disagree. So if someone like clips it, like a Missouri fan like clips that, I'll be able to be like,
they're like,
no, I was right.
You idiots. The only one who understood what I was talking about was the ginger kid.
Yeah. That's why I won the weekend spread last year. But
that's true. You just listened.
Yeah. Other than Missouri, though, I mean, what's next up? Because I feel like that's still a pretty difficult question. Because you try to like say what's going to be a home game, and then that'd be LSU, and that's to end the season. That's a scary game with one of the better quarterbacks in college football. Like you cannot guarantee that at all. And then like the other ones would be on the road, like South Carolina on the road, maybe, but like that's scary versus Lenora Sellers at home and one of the best young defensive ends and Dylan Stewart. Like that's like, I don't know if we can win that game.
I think the number 2 is easy. I think Ole Miss at home feels winnable, given, the fact that they had a lot of guys leave. They processed a lot of guys, from that team last year. I feel like they're kind of in a reset mode. And I think getting them in Norman, I feel like you can get Ole Miss like that.
Who
that
the
feels
hell is
gettable.
their quarterback? I that's another thing. I don't know their quarterback.
It's who is their quarterback?
It's Simmons. Who that?
Yeah. No, he's a guy. I think he was on their team last year, if I recall correctly. Just as a backup. So it's not like they've had like this massive portal,
That's
on the quarterback end. Yeah.
Wow.
Here's my thing about South Carolina is they play well at home. They played really well at home last year, but even when they played well, when they faced like sound teams at home, like LSU and Ole Miss, I believe, they lost. So it's like, yeah, they played like solid, but I'm not going to give them like Iowa State of the SEC like allegations, but no, they bring like a quality of football that they're going to capitalize on like any mistake that you make, especially at home. And right, obviously they embarrassed us last year, but I think going into South Carolina, that's going to be my number 2 of most flippable loss. Wow. I don't think that's my most flippable game, but that's my number 2 most flippable loss, because if we go in there and we are a sound team that has a sound offense that's not going to turn the ball over, and even if I think even if the defense takes a slight slide a little bit, if the offense and the defense can play sort of more similar ball and we just don't make mistakes, I think that's a very winnable game for us. I don't think that's an easy one at all. I'm not going to say it's
a team that went 9-3. They went 9-3 last year, and they've got Lenore Sellers as one of the best. He was like that dude was a redshirt freshman last year. Like
they got better every week. I feel like.
Yeah, that's a bold statement, Ty. I mean, I appreciate it. I mean, like, you lose like an all SEC defensive end, Kyle Kennard, but like then Dylan Stewart's now a sophomore, and that dude looks so good as a freshman. Like, in terms of the the overturn, there's not nearly as bad as what they had in the past. But that team scares me, Ty. I really like that South Carolina team.
And hey, Coach Beamer puts together a good team, and that's a very committed fan base. Very cool stadium. Should we tier rank
Williams Bryce?
Should we pivot and tier rank stadiums?
Tier rank OU stadiums. So Austin is talking in the chat about how fast it went up on OU.
Yeah,
I feel like that was such a disaster class that it's almost hard to grade it, because it was so bad that it was like it's hard to grade how. I mean, Carolina took advantage of the opportunities given to them. You can't knock them, of course, but it's one of those things where I don't know if I can see that this OU team. I don't even think I could see that last year OU team playing as bad as they did that game. Like that was the worst quarter of football I've seen in my life. And if you actually look at the rest of it, OU kind of did some stuff on defense. I'm not trying to silver lining it because it was awful. It was a horrible day. But to me, I feel like, it's just enough of a reset that I could see it. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff in
classic offseason Bobby Ty. We were just getting it. I love.
I'm just.
It was a meltdown. It was a disaster.
I'm sorry. This is very pedantic, but the worst quarter of OU football you've ever seen. We watched that OU Georgia game together, Bobby. The playoff game with Baker. I don't know if that was
like a half. That was a bad half. And frankly, at least it was like, I'll put it this way, at least it was Georgia. Like it was a Georgia team that, ended up being a play away from the national championship. Like it's not a decent South Carolina, like a pretty good South Carolina team that's getting its legs on the road, that just. And it wasn't like OU lost. It was bad. Yeah. I'm not saying it was the most painful. It was definitely not the most painful, but it was the most inept I've ever seen OU look at at playing football in a quarter in my entire life. It was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I just, if you're listening on podcasts, we do love whenever people can tune in live. I know we're kind of erratic on when we do our start time sometimes, but we'll be more consistent on the season. But if you can join us live on YouTube or other social medias that we stream live, we really appreciate the live comments, like Austin, who coached in college football a little bit, which is why he is bringing this up, because South Carolina is a much better coached team than OU last year.
They were better than OU across the board. I was just saying that it was such a weird game that I don't even know how to grade it.
South Carolina scares the life out of me. I would pick LSU before we can get
Mm-hmm.
Right. You say what you will about Brian Kelly, but the state just produces monsters that are just born with a loyalty to Louisiana, which I might add, the very person on this podcast telling you to fear Louisiana State and spreading LSU propaganda. Jameson, can you please show your birth certificate on the pod, please? Because I believe we might have a sleeper agent amongst us that is spreading Louisiana propaganda.
We're gonna start a birther controversy about Jameson's.
That's not a He's from Louisiana.
It's actually not controversy. He was born in Louisiana.
Thanks, Bobby, for trying to back me up there.
He's from Nigeria.
Yeah. Oh God. But no. I know. Thank you, Ty. No, but here's my thing. Here's my thing about LSU is OU has a weird inability to beat LSU in anything. I feel like they were bad in baseball. They were bad in basketball. Obviously a disaster in Baton Rouge for football. They have our number, and they beat women's gym multiple times. They just got this weird sort of vibe about them, and I do not like it. And I don't know. I have them high on my list of difficult to flip. I don't know. Well, let's keep talking about LSU, I guess. I think it's weird that they have Nick Anderson and Bauer Sharp.
Oh my God.
I forgot about that. That one hurts.
Can you imagine the boos that come down on Bauer Sharp first catch he has in that game? I really hope. No, I'm not the biggest fan of booing in terms of being in a college football stadium, but screw it. Let it loose for Bauer Sharp. Just let it loose.
Bauer Sharp game-winning touchdown pass.
Oh,
that's how our season ends. We have one win for bowl eligibility, and it ends with Bauer Sharp throwing a dime.
Is LSU's quarterback still that same dude?
Yeah, Nussmeier. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the country. And honestly, I feel like I didn't respect him enough at the beginning of the season last year. The way he ended the season, I think that dude's got really damn good accuracy. That guy can sling it, man. And I mean, their weapons in the wide receiver room might not be as good as they were last year, but I mean, like if you can get a Nick Anderson that we knew from the past, like that guy's going to be pretty good. But I mean, I believe a lot in Caden Durham as the running back as a young guy, obviously a guy that a lot of OU fans know as well. So they're still going to be jam-packed full of firepower on offense, and it's going to be really hard defensively to stop them. Really, the way that we got to beat them is we outscore them, which is a scary thing to say out loud nowadays.
Yeah, that's how football works.
That's the
I mean, okay, so I mean, I think we need to score at least 30 in that game to win.
Yeah, I think the offense would have to be humming.
How many games do we score more than 30 during SEC play?
For us,
let's play that game. Ty, off the top of your head, how many games did we score over 30 in SEC play last year? Do you know?
3.
I think it was 1.
0.
No, we scored more than 30 in SEC. I'm pulling it up now.
We had what 24 against Alabama, actually.
So we had 15 versus Tennessee. We had 27 in Auburn. We had 3 versus Texas. We had 9 versus South Carolina. We had 14 versus Ole Miss. We had 23 versus Missouri. We had 24 versus Bama. We had 17 versus LSU.
Good Lord.
Tulane used to be in the SEC. We scored more than 30 on them. But yeah.
You know what? Find what confirms your bias and go after it.
Since you mentioned it, Alabama, will that one flip? We won that one. But I think for me, it is too late to say because I don't know who will be coaching that team by the time we face them.
Oh my God.
There's so many bits we're just bringing.
Which again,
that's not a bit.
Again,
that
aggregators, it's a bit.
That
it's
was
a bit
proven. When the
bit.
season, like week 2, I started telling people we were going to beat Alabama when I had given up on OU, even though we had won every game at that point, because I knew that there was one coach in the SEC that was worse than Brent Venables, and it was Kalen DeBall not knower, who might be fired before we even get to face them again.
I mean, I don't know about that. I don't know if Kalen DeBoer works out at Alabama. Probably. Well, there's a lot obviously changing at Alabama. If you had to ask me right now, I think that flips towards the Tide.
It's in Tuscaloosa.
Right. Yeah. I will say this. The most winnable, and I'm afraid to say it, guys. The most winnable road game outside of Temple.
Thank you.
You know what it is. It's got to be Tennessee.
It is.
I actually, if I had to call a flip right now, I kind of think OU wins in Neyland.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And obviously, with the way Nico left them, I think that there's an absolute opening in terms of Tennessee's offense got a lot to prove. You know, they're an open book right now. Do we really believe that they can kind of scramble things up with the way that it kind of got jumbled at the end of a couple months ago? How long ago was that? Was that like 4 or 5 months ago? I can't even keep straight what time is. Like the whole Nico fiasco. When did that even happen? How long
man. It was spring. It was like April-ish.
Yeah,
maybe before that.
I don't know what time it is
3 to
anymore.
4.
But big picture is that's a lot to change whenever you have a guy like that. So I agree with you, Bobby. I think that's the road game to look at.
Well, and they had a lot of, folks transfer outside of Nico and, a lot of graduates. Like it feels like a pretty heavy turnover year. And you're really betting a lot on Aguilar, that quarterback, to be something special. It put him in a really, really, really bad spot for this year. And I don't know. At times last year, they looked a little dodgy. Let's just be up front. That the win against OU by the end of the season did not look remotely as good as it did in the moment.
Here's what worries me about Tennessee. And I'm proud of myself for making it this far into this discussion before we start to pull up schedule analysis. But in October, we have 4 games, and Tennessee is on November 1st. We play Kent State at home, right? That should be that. But then Red River immediately followed, no off week, going to South Carolina, right? I've just said that we're going to win that one, but no matter how it goes, it's going to be tough. We immediately come back and face Ole Miss at home, which Ole Miss late October, right? Like that could be a 2-3 loss team at that point. Who knows? They're still going to be really solid because they recruit well. They're still going to hit you hard. They're still going to present a big challenge. And then we take Tennessee at home. Then we go to Tennessee at their home with 110,000 people or however many are there. So that kind of worries me because it's just basically nothing except for the Michigan game prior to Red River. And then it's just gauntlet. So that is certainly kind of worrisome that game going into one of the meccas of college football, right, is at the end of such a gauntlet. Again, preseason rankings for teams, but Texas is going to be no joke. South Carolina and Ole Miss, who knows what those teams are going to end up as, but they still have great players. They're still fairly well coached, and they're still gonna bring the pain. And those are going to be games that you're feeling like you played 4 quarters of football after. So that's certainly worrisome for me. But at the same time, at the risk of being clipped a little bit, did Tennessee win that game, or did Jackson Arnold just really lose that game? I think it's somewhere in between, but like we certainly had a vote, and for a lot of that game, most of OU did what we needed to do to at least be in control of that game at home, and Jackson Arnold just, did not comply with that. So it's certainly a team that could be beatable. I think maybe Tennessee fans will agree with me. I think maybe Nico leaving helps him, but I think I'm going to go off on my bit about how SEC teams don't win championships with quarterbacks that are stars or think they are stars. Look at Georgia, look at Alabama, whatever you want to do. But I think that Tennessee team is going to be rough, and it is not in the schedule where I would like to see it. But when you're in the SEC, you don't really get breaks, because then we get a break on November 8th, and then we go to Bama, then we face Missouri, then we face LSU. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's clear that OU has to win. They have to go on that run before Red River and really, really take care of Auburn at home, take care of like Michigan. If you could beat Michigan and Auburn, I mean, that changes your season entirely. And then you just need to scrap out some splits, but it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that 9 win is obviously the number that came out many moons ago in terms of saving Brent. Now it's starting to come more of like it could be a good 8. If you have a good 8, it could save him. Yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really, really hard.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Just don't go into my questions here. This is less about 2025 itself and more about the future. But Jameson, I'm curious your thoughts on this. So there's a lot of hand wringing since we've been gone about the Jim Nagy recruiting method. So the idea of targeting lower ranked, cheaper recruits that are still really good, that grade out similar to some 5 stars. Some of you fans have kind of come out and called it, cheaping out, or, beneath a program like OU. What are your thoughts on the method? You're obviously, the recruiting guy of the group. Do you think you can pull that sort of thing off in major college football?
I think it's an overreaction. I think right now we're in an extreme transition time in terms of figuring out how to do things in terms of NIL. And obviously, as new policy comes in, things are going to completely shift. I think that, yes, he's being cheap, but I think he's got a strategy of the well can run dry very quickly if you overpay and get bid up for a lot of high-end prospects that might not shell out and might immediately transfer. But what you can do, a more guaranteed good bang for your buck, is letting another team develop a guy, you see that he's really good, then you pay for him in the portal. So I think what I'm seeing from him so far is Nagy's background is I feel good about recruiting in the portal, seeing guys that have done good in college and seeing if they will equate to being good at the next level. And that's how we ended up with guys like Jaydn Ott. So right now, if we don't get your borderline 4-star who's committing to Illinois, I'm not as worried about that because we went out and poached Jaydn Ott, straight up poached him. And that's one of the better running backs in the country.
Yeah, I think to me, it's just a shift in mentality. High school recruiting will always matter to some degree, but I feel like when it comes to the stars, when it comes to the talent that can take you over the edge, it's way more efficient to go out and get Knott, to get Emma Tier, and let that work, because I'll take a Jaydn Ott 10 times out of 10 any day over a freshman 5-star, running back, without a doubt, because this guy's a proven talent. He was able to do it at freaking Cal and take it to a different level. And to me, I feel like the proven commodity, can you do it in college? That's what matters more than anything. And high school evaluation, scouts, rivals, all of that on 3, you can do your best, to predict things. You look at the quarterback class in Texas and you have, John Mateer, Michael Hawkins Jr. and Jackson Arnold all in a group. Well, all 3 of them have come through OU, and only one of them is a bona fide star, and that's the guy who ended up having to play at Washington State. So, these things happen. More often than not, stars matter. Stars are right. You land on that. But with the ability to see how things progress and the ability to see how a guy can grow in college at other places and all of this, like, until this gets patched up where it's not as much of a Wild West, then yeah, have at it and find the guys who know how to take care of their business and work in college. That's kind of the right answer, is this sort of free agency approach rather than a draft and stash in a way. It's a totally different world.
Yeah, it's really hard right now. I feel like this cycle has been extremely difficult because obviously with new policy coming forward, there's a lot of money being thrown around in terms of NIL because things are about to change quickly. And so you're getting guys like Felix Ojo, who's a 5-star offensive tackle out of, Mansfield, Texas, that going to Texas Tech, and legitimately they're posting his deal online like he's an NBA, NFL free agent signing for a 3-year deal, and they're putting out the millions of dollars that he's earning. That is unbelievable and something we've never seen before ever. Like the number 1 overall player in the country, according to On 3 Rivals, like he's going to Maryland. So money's speaking right now. And Nagy says, and this is maybe what I think from Nagy, is right now this OU program believes in their ability to put out resources in their scouting department to find guys that could turn into something big time on a cheap deal and hit on some gems, and that money you save from that, you can get a higher floor guy that has already proven himself to be good. Because the gambling, idea of going out and putting all your money in young guys can really go back and get you in the face, and you could plummet. We need to have a higher floor right now as an Oklahoma program, and focusing on the portal and looking at investments in high school, I think is a better idea.
Well, I imagine how good Missouri fans feel about Williams-Nwaneri, and what did they get from that?
Nothing.
Just saying, nothing.
Yeah, honestly, that was so weird.
Yeah, that's just a sport right now. Those blue chips can move so quick early. And it almost
Nebraska
happened
had the money,
Stone.
And Nebraska had the money and did it. Yeah. And David Stone almost did it too. You're right, and like we've seen it, and it's hit us hard, and that's just the way that college football is.
Yeah, and I don't think it's being cheap. I don't think it's not trying. It's, if you're not innovating and not trying to find new ways to survive, you're not trying. And it's a smarter, more sustainable system to outwork the hell out of everyone else. Jim Nagy is a one-of-one type of guy. There's not other Nagys out there. You would be hard pressed to find a guy with that type of, experience and, connection. And to me, it's one of those things where just let the man cook.
Yeah, totally. I was just going to say, I hate to do this. Sorry, I thought you were ending there. I hate to do this because we're talking about Thunder way too much this podcast. But, whenever there is a transition time in terms of financial things and how the league is going to play, you have to kind of zag a little bit while other people are kind of falling in line. And I think what Nagy's doing right now is saying, I bet you that if I get too many high-end, big-paid high schoolers right now, it's not going to be as good as getting them cheap right now and then going out in the future and focusing on the portal. In terms of other programs right now at OU's, in terms of their notoriety and like being a blue chip program, how many programs do you think are having that same kind of thought process that Jim Nagy's had? I doubt you that there's a lot. I feel like a lot of them are really desperate and trying to, put their foot on the gas right now and utilize the time to recruit high schoolers. And I think that while it's different, that's why it's getting criticized, because it's different what other people are doing. But I think it's smart and innovative.
Yeah. And the only thing you lose the dopamine of being like, oh, we just got a 5-star. We just got a, we just outpaid you. And, there might be some guys chirping at you, calling you broke, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. If it's effective, it's effective. There's no way to know it's effective because it's only been a couple months. We haven't even, the effects of this aren't even going to really, really show they'll show their impact on, on the field this fall, but long-term, it's going to take a couple cycles. And I, for one, just let it ride. Let's take, just trust the guy, trust the process, and we'll see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I think, real quick, there's a couple things to mention. There's like one, the only thing that's below us is losing and being kind of a laughing stock in our conference or in college football, right? Like that's just not the brand. That's not the legacy. That's not the history. And the other thing to mention is it's really not money at the end of the day, right? Like money can certainly drive certain people, but I'll take anyone's bet against me on, what's his name that went to Maryland. There's no way he finishes his career there. Right? Yeah, like he's just not. I would be surprised if he spends more than a year there. And to further reinforce my point with a little bit of pain for OU fans, because pain tends to retain lessons. Navy spends $0 in NIL on their roster, and they were better than us last year. At least one Saturday they were. So is it a money thing or is it something else? And I really think the primary thing is targeting people that will produce wins. That's how it is. And when you throw massive money at these high schoolers, that's how you get transfer portal chaos, or you get a Tennessee Nico situation where I really do feel for them, but it's kind of hilarious how that turned out on Nico's end, although he ended up making millions of dollars either way. But you can't have that be the only thing and then count on someone to turn your program around, especially someone coming out of high school, because they're never going to be that amazing.
Mm-hmm. I hate to say it right now, but also another part of this is Oklahoma might just have their hands tied behind their back in terms of getting high-end prospects. There's a chance that Nagy may want to behind the scenes, but knows that we can't because of the negative recruiting of Oklahoma. There's so many things right now for a recruit of why I would be very, very timid to come to here. And we can take off our crimson color tinted glasses and realize that the athletic director will be leaving within the year. Our coach could very well, he's on one of the hotter seats in terms of the whole country. Like he's a very, very hot seat. And anytime coach leaves, the whole organization can leave. That's a whole new playbook. And no matter if you feel like you believe in yourself or not, that is a tumultuous time for you to go in there as an athlete. And maybe you would be better going to another program than that has some stability. And if OU comes out and we win versus Michigan and we win versus Auburn, and we go in and we put a good fight versus Texas, I think guys like, Jay Cruel can be steered more towards Oklahoma's side. But right now, I feel like there's a lot of chirping in his ear that honestly, it makes sense and is warranted negatively recruiting Oklahoma.
Yeah. I mean, you can just say these guys aren't going to be here next year. And
I think that there's a better chance that they're not here than they are here. And we can say that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a tall task. It is a tall task to figure this out. There's a lot of unknowns, and, a year ago, we're talking about how Jackson Arnold was going to be good and all of these ideas about how good the team was going to be and that they're going to surprise folks. Maybe even on the more pessimistic end, I don't think anyone expected that level of how bad OU was. And at the end of the day, you just really don't know. You really just don't know. And I think if you look at the body of work, it's fair to negative recruit on. And, at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to change that is winning ball games come the fall. So we'll see how it goes. But I don't know. I think they're doing the right things. They're desperate enough and really innovative enough to try to figure it out and right the ship. But let's wrap this up. Final question. Any thoughts on Joe Castiglione's retirement? It looks like he's going to stay on as athletic director emeritus after this year, and he will find a new replacement. Any thoughts on him, his legacy, anything like that before we go?
Good for him doing this, honestly. Really, really good for him. This is a strong move, and I'm glad that he gets to go out on his own terms, straight up. I didn't want there to be, he's done so much for this program. And obviously, despite what's happening recently, there's been some chirps, obviously, fire Castiglione. No, that's just a scapegoat kind of thing. This guy has been great guy, has really brought Oklahoma sports back on the map out of a really, really tough time before he was here. And we should allow him to go out on his own terms and make a new hire. And instead of, getting burnt and fired and then having to retire because he got fired, you don't want that kind of into your legacy. And I'm glad that this can be a win-win scenario for us.
Ty? No.
Yeah, sorry. I was Googling because I had recalled that there have been provisions in his contract for the past couple of years about a retirement benefit. So rough Googling, need to do maybe a little more research. I should have prepared a little bit better for the pod, but he is going to end up very well off. And it's a smart move. I don't know if someone knows off the top of their head, where he's from.
That's Bobby thing. I'm not that wealth of information.
I'll Google it. Keep talking, Ty.
I know where he was before he was at OU. I don't know where he grew up.
Oh, this is the wrong joke in Stiglio.
American retired radio announcer.
I was like, oh my goodness, he's 78. He looks insane for 78.
He was born in Florida, went to school in Maryland.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so anyways, it looks like he is, and I don't think this is his most recent contract, but OU's going to be paying him pretty decent six figures as a retirement benefit alone, in addition to all the money that he's made as the athletic director. So he's going to be able to retire, I think, pretty comfortably, making 180-ish a year in just retirement benefits from OU, in addition to what he's earned. So I think he'll be good to retire wherever he is. And I don't know how old he is, but he doesn't look too old. So he'll be enjoying his retirement, and I think a job well done. He's overseen so much in OU sports. Obviously, many people would hope for more football championships, but we were there so many times, and sometimes it's just how it turns out. The Sam Bradford year against Tebow, where DeMarco Murray just happened to be injured and pass interferences aren't called and things like that. But I think really his biggest legacy you've got to point to is making OU successful across the board and making us more than just a football school, really growing all the programs, the gymnastics program, the softball program, obviously. Football was significant at OU before Joe C came on board. Softball just was not. And I don't want to diminish, what Patty Gasso's done and everything else, but ultimately that still occurred on his watch. Same with so much of the success of the gymnastics program, both men's and women's. The baseball program has seen success in recent years under Joe C. The men's golf program has won some national championships in that time. look at what the stadium has become, and obviously some of this stuff was going to occur no matter who the athletic director was, but go look at the pictures of the stadium when he came on. Go look at, well, Lloyd Noble's the same.
Well, the new building.
Go look at
building.
some of the other facilities. Yeah, some of the other facilities. Overseeing this move to the SEC that obviously has not been what we've hoped, but Joe C did everything he needed to do on his end in terms of athletic director stuff. It was really on the team to produce. But this joint move with Texas to move over to the SEC as a package deal, that's massive. There's just so many things you can point to. His son is pretty funny on Twitter. So he was a fairly decent dad too. So shout out to Josie and his fedora. I'm sure we'll do more stuff.
Fedora night. Fedora night.
They should do a fedora night.
Blake will do it.
Everyone tips their fedora to Josie on his way out. They'll definitely do a fedora night. If they do a fedora night, I gotta go.
We need someone at OU. We need to get this over to a mutual friend of ours that can get it maybe related to some donors that can maybe make that happen.
Oh yeah, no, that needs to happen.
Student section fedora night probably would be a good idea in the stadium.
Everybody doff their cap.
I'm pretty sure you can bulk order like Alibaba fedoras, even with whatever tariff, for like 20 cents a piece. So
what's the male
we might
version
be able to
of
just make that happen?
What's the male version of Milady? Monsieur? I don't know. That doesn't sound right.
I was like, it's only guys that are saying that.
No,
yeah. I didn't get what you were saying.
Anyways, Monsieur. I give a hearty tip of my fedora to Joe Castiglione. No, but yeah, absolute legend.
At the end of the season, we'll do a podcast. Hip hip hooray!
Nothing's cooler than a group hip hip hooray.
With our fedoras.
With our fedoras. Anyways, yeah, absolute legend. He'll be missed. He totally revolutionized and modernized the athletics program, and it's in a way better place than it was when he entered. I believe half of the national championships, or over half the national championships the Sooners have ever won, have come under Castiglione. Outside of that, thank you, Michael Whitman. It's Milord.
Ooh, there it is.
Milord. There we go. That's it. So thank you. I guess I need to stop tipping my hat. I've done that way too many times. Yeah. Anyways, well, that's kind of all we have for the show. Do we want to do our annual talk about recruiting for some reason, or not recruiting, but not recruiting? Talk about tailgating. They've made another change.
Shout out.
North Oval.
It's just slowly trying to get better.
Yeah, total. And they've kind of removed some tailgating spots, and they're forcing people into the North Oval to be like a confined space. Ty, it's everything you've ever wanted.
Okay, that's actually good. I was not aware. I was prepared to be anti one of my greatest ideas because they were just further diluting the tailgate pool. But if they truly have eliminated some spots, and let's be careful talking about this. I know people have had spots that maybe they've had for generations potentially that their family has posted up tailgates. So I do feel for that. So I don't want to come on here championing, forbidding people. Forgive my English. I went to Oklahoma. So, but I don't know. I do feel for that, right? Like I miss the old Sigma Nu tailgate spot on the corner of Jenkins and Lindsay, but it would just be so much better if you could only do the RV tailgates and then just like North Oval area where it flows seamlessly in the campus corner. That's the big secret of the SEC. That's the big secret of the Grove. They just let you tailgate in one little spot, and they just always have forever, so they don't have to deal with deleting and moving around and everything else. So would be perfect if it had always been like this, but I do feel for people that maybe can't tailgate where they would prefer to and have for a long time. But I think ultimately it's a very, very solid move in terms of presenting the campus to visitors. Look, no one loves OU's campus more than me. If you catch me there, I will give you a several hour tour of anything and everything. It is my, like, I just love that. It's my favorite thing, is getting people to come and visit and then just walking them around. We'll go to CVS or something and get like a 30 rack of beer to carry it, because people will want to drink, and then I'll just yap for hours about the campus. But I think it's a good move. I think it's good.
Yeah.
But I do feel for people that are not getting to tailgate where they traditionally have.
It's like they've removed the weird little parts, like, far down Jenkins, you can't really do that. But actually you can. It's like, you know those spots that you look on those old maps, you're like, why would anybody ever tailgate there? It's like, those are what they've removed.
Yeah.
It's stuff that nobody really tailgates at anyways, and not many people. So I don't know. It should be a cool option. They're doing it. It's very Grovey in the sense that, they have all the spots partitioned out and you have to kind of claim them. And then you bring your own tents and stuff. But me personally, I'm staying on Brooks, just my favorite spot. Not to dox my tailgate, but if you listen hard enough, you can hear me say that. But yeah, I don't know. It should be fun. I think it's. I think
you
it'll
post
be
it on your social media. That's public. So
literally every time, literally every tailgate. I am sad that they got rid of camping. I camped one time before Alabama, and it was a great time. And now the camping is gone, and I don't know if it's my fault or if it's the large student group that decided to take up an entire tailgating area by themselves on Friday morning at 3 a.m. and displaced tons of folks, by the way.
God forbid the people that
them.
actually go to the school enjoy their sports.
It's not that they don't. They weren't even following the
Boomer
rules.
Bobby, double entendra.
I don't
out here complaining about these kids.
Everyone, they should be respectful of everyone's space. They weren't even using it for, like, most of that space was used as a dance floor for some reason. Like, you don't need that much space. That's not a tailgate.
What?
Yeah,
they need
there's
to
like
be
a giant
around.
No, there's like a giant dance floor in the middle. It was crazy. I was like, I'm just like, no, you're out here kicking people out who have been here all season long because just for one tailgate. It was silly. If you want to have an event, go find an event space. Don't be kicking people out of it where they've been tailgating all year. I don't know.
Yeah, but to any Ole Miss fans that are maybe angry about our game preview, Bobby's Tailgate is on Brook Street. There is no security. If you come up Brook Street from the east side, you will be relatively covered and concealed until you reach Bobby's Tailgate.
If you have any issues, please contact our head of security, one Mr. Brandon Whitty. Anyways. All right, we've yapped for long enough, but it's been good to be back, boys. Preseason, our preseason pods, our picks, favorite over-unders, all of that. We're gonna get cooking on all of that coming up soon. So it should be just truly very fun. So, but it's good to just kind of rip the Band-Aid off, get a lot of this OU stuff out of the way, and get into proper football season. So we'll be with you all season long. So make sure to subscribe, tell your friends. We'll see you next time. Have a great one, everybody. Boomer Sooner. And, hey, thunder up.